Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Bridging the Gap. This is our first episode of Elephant in the Room. And again, my name is David James. I want to cover a few things in this episode as we are in between doing our next segment and actually coming back from doing the Chopping It Up first episode. The Elephant in the Room is going to basically be covering things that are going on around us, okay? First of all, bridging the gap. We exist for just that reason. We're here to bridge the gap between community and the governing body. We are here to bridge the gap between what's going on and those that don't know what's going on. We started out representing the west side of Wicomico County, and we're still very heavily in that area. But we also want to cover things happening other places in Wicomico County because it is concerning to all the county. As being an entity, we are on PAC 14. We are on our own YouTube channel, which is called Bridging the Gap. We are on our Facebook page. But being an entity that shares information, you're not going to always have everybody that's going to agree with it. Now, we can allow that to either make us fretful, make us angry, or encourage us. Criticism is one of the weirdest shows of flattery that someone can do. They criticize you because they're not you in many times. And, we don't want to get wrapped up in this back and forth that happens, but we are aware that it happens. We are going to continue to do exactly what we've been doing, but I also want to make sure it's very much understood that Bridging the Gap is not a lobbyist for anyone. We are not told what to do. We are not instructed by anyone on what we're going to, who we're going to reach out to or what we're going to say. We do it exactly from what I said we're here to do it for. We do it for the community. But we do realize we're going to have critics. We do realize there will be those that don't like exactly what we're saying, who we're speaking to, or the questions that are asked. What I say to that is, those people can feel free to either start their own show or take that to their show. The purpose of Bridging the Gap is to bring information, accurate, unbiased information. I do realize there are those out there that spread information and they're one-sided on whatever they are. We want to bridge the gap. We are here for the community. When we stop being about the community, then we stop existing for the purpose that what we're around for. So I want to, first of all, say that and understand that I have haters. We have haters. What do I say to those haters? Hi, haters. If anybody knows me, they know that I want my best to live by the Bible. And reading and searching in the Word of God, I realized even the Lord had haters. Look that up. So with that in mind, let's allow them to be who they want to be. There is a atmosphere that's going on right now that's going to only turn up more. The political atmosphere is going to only change more and more as we go forward from this point. Why? Because, well, it's just about political season. And being it's just about political season, expect people to act a certain way. Expect people to want you to interview them or want you to hear their point of view, and expect people to expect you, since you are friends with them, to not listen to other sides. I encourage all, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, I don't care what you are, listen to all sides. Why? Because leaders we pick are leaders that's going to lead us. And you want to make sure that these people are actually seeking to represent what you have as important and not what they want or what their lobbyists want. So I just want to say that. We've had some great things go on within our first month of having our show, Bridging the Gap, and including Chopping It Up. And I'm not expecting everybody to like those stats. And we don't do it for the stats, but it's interesting to know the stats. Bridging the Gap. We're going to do something we call Chopping It Up. This will be our first segment of that, and this is going to be a unique thing because we're going to be giving report cards out to different areas of government here locally. Before we go any further, you actually serve on one of those boards, am I correct?
Yeah, so I serve on the Salisbury City Human Rights Advisory Committee, which serves as one of the committees under the mayor's office. We advise the mayor on all the human rights concerns that Salisbury residents may bring to us, or the mayor may turn to us to see to providing advice on.
Nice. And any projects that you are part of?
Well, yeah. So the committee's pretty dynamic. So it's we work on various things as things may come up. Recently, we've been working to improve the lives of some of our migrant communities here in Salisbury and just in the broader Salisbury city area, as well as recently, at least it was in today's news, we've been seeing to the crosswalk, the whole debacle surrounding the crosswalk here in Salisbury, which has been
down there by the library downtown.
Yeah, okay, right in the center of Salisbury.
Yes. I saw something about that.
Yeah, so we've been. There's been a lot of dialogue surrounding the crosswalk, and we've recently. I say recently, in November, or prior to November, we sought to address it completely. We worked with the mayor to see to something of an arts corner, which is the current move of the city at the present time. So the idea is, whereas the original model for the gay and transgender flags had been offensive to some community members, we sought to compromise, and in that we proposed the Arts Corner kind of model where citizens would submit concepts to the Public Art Committee and to the Mayor's office, and that would be decided by the Mayor's office and the Public Art Committee, and eventually placed onto the crosswalk for public enjoyment. So that was one of the bigger projects that's kind of coming to fruition now. I'm really proud to have been able to assist the mayor in that, I'd say, pretty monumental move here in the city. And
nice. Now, that's not going to exclude the Pride community, is it? Like if they want to be a part of painting or...
Absolutely not. So, the mayor's been pretty adamant about involving the community in what that space may look like, and that's why we chose to see to it being a public art space. The mayor erected the Public Art Committee, and so I'd say this has been a pretty big objective of Mayor Taylor here in the city of Salisbury. And one of the biggest things that the mayor stipulated with assistance of the committee, but one of the big focuses of the mayor was to illustrate that, if somebody wants to render a concept for the crosswalk that may incorporate certain colors of the Pride flag or certain nods to the Pride flag or the transgender flag or whatever flag they would like to see, put onto the crosswalk, they are certainly at liberty to do so, and it'll be taken into consideration just like any other, concept or model that may be presented. I suppose what I'm trying to say is that there are definitely a lot of opportunities for those in the Pride community, in the transgender community, in whatever community, to make their voices heard and make their desired concepts, to allow their desired concepts to be considered. So,
Michael, you got any input on that?
Yeah, so it's also in Annapolis and a couple other cities, but again, we were one of the first ones to be orchestrated by a city for the project to be done, along with PFLAG orchestrating their part in it as well. But yeah, I mean, again, the crosswalks. I just, like I said, when it first happened, I personally thought it was opening Pandora's box, because then everyone's going to want a representation of the car roll. But I agree with what the young gentleman is saying. No one's telling the LGBTQ community or the transgender community that their artists can't put in projects towards what it should look like.
We're going to go ahead and do a report card on our local elected officials and leaders. We're going to start on the city level. We're going to talk about the state of the city. We're going to start talking about the mayor's office first, and we're going to talk about the job that Mayor Randy Taylor has done. Personally, myself, I have been working with Randy for a while here, and he's been pretty... When I call him, he answers, and if he doesn't answer, he does call me back. I feel that his back's kind of against the wall because the previous mayor had different thoughts. There was many things that the previous mayor brought to the city that now this mayor feels like he has to undo. And I think that Mayor Taylor's doing a really good job of standing his ground. And I know it can be kind of hard at times. And if I was to give him a grade, I would give him a B+. Jermichael?
Yeah. Running against Mayor Taylor, of course, campaign-wise, we had great communication. We still have great communication, as you said. Anytime I call, or myself or Kevin Lindsay calls, he always returns our calls and has open dialogue. I think he's facing a big, like you said, I ain't gonna say back against the wall, but he's making a lot of people who are against what he's trying to do. What I've learned in politics is each person has their own personal experience with what they want to see for government in that area. What he wants to see is checks and balances, right? He's going back and looking at the things the former mayor did to beautify or to get to the position he is in now, and checking that, right? Are we spending money on bike lanes that was wasted? Can we redo those bike lanes to get some of our roadway back? Because again, these people are starting to cause crashes, and people don't understand those roundabouts and different things. So I feel like I would give him a B. Again, if there are some things he still needs, but I love the fact that he's fact checking things, right? He's going back, looking at those sales. He's going back, making sure that the developers are sticking to their word. He's going back and making sure the occupancy thing, he's holding different people accountable for different things. And, he's making sure that we are not wasting funds in our budget, right? Money is needed all over the place. So to go back and make sure that you're allocating funds in the right direction is always a thing, So I would give him a B personally. Again, and there's a lot of people who are against that and say he's doing a bad job, but I personally think for what he was handed, right? He's doing a great job for what he did. For what he was handed, he's doing a great job with what he was handed.
Nice. And you're on that board. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think to build off what the two of yours have said, I think not Dr. Taylor, but Mayor Taylor has been Dr. Taylor's my doctor. Mayor Taylor has been extremely responsive to the needs of the committee and the voices of the committee. Again, I don't live in Salisbury full time, but in my experience with Mayor Taylor, working both on the part of the committee and also in Salisbury Police Explorers during my high school years. Mayor Taylor has been extremely present and extremely down to earth, which I could not say about not necessarily Jake Day, but other politicians here on the shore. So specifically within the realm of town politics, yeah. So I would probably rate Mayor Taylor a flat B. I don't have much bad to say, but I also I would definitely need to know more to give him a true A. So.
Okay. And
yeah, personally, I'll admit I'm not as much of an expert on city politics as much as our guests here, and I met Mr. Taylor a few times, and I think he's a good leader. Everyone else has given him B, so I'm just going to go with the crowd and say, hey, if you guys who know a lot about what's going on in city politics are willing to grade him in that way, I'll also give him a B. I think he's done a relatively good job. As a mayor, I'm hoping that he wins re-election in 2026.
Okay, nice. Now we're going to move over to the city council where it's conflict. Now I see the same thing happen on the county level, but it seems like the council, which is majority Democrat, and the mayor is Republican. I really wish that it was nonpartisan. I really wish that people just got in there and worked. But it seems like there's a lot of opposition. There's a lot of the council doesn't seem to ever agree with the mayor. Maybe they do. I just don't see it. As far as what they're doing with their community, well, I actually live in Mr. Doughty's district, and I haven't seen a town hall or a city hall or meeting with that group. So
you'd say there's a lack of transparency on the behalf of some of the members on the city council.
I mean, well, yeah, I could say that also, yes. I mean,
Okay.
You don't have to register to speak at the end of a council meeting for the county, but I think that you do for city. They changed that to that point now, so you've got to...
You have to register.
You
You
have
can't
to-
just go in for public comment or whatever it might be.
Yeah, he changed it to registration.
What would one
Registration,
register
okay.
as? How does that work?
What's that again?
What would one register as? Like register their district and then where they live, or is it?
You just register to speak. It ain't even asking you too many questions. You just
No.
got to put your name in to have public comment now.
I understand.
Which has changed. Before, like you said, you showed up and you just had public comment towards the end of the meeting. But when the density project was going on and they had so many people had so much to say, I'll say the city council president decided to make some changes to how the protocol was. And now you have to check in or sign in ahead of time.
I see. Do people have to register just be in attendance too, or just to speak?
No, just to speak.
Just to speak. Okay. I see.
So with that in mind, personally myself, I've got to give the city council a D. Okay? who wants to go next?
With respect to the city council, I mean, again, I haven't had a lot of experience with the city council at large, but I found many members on the city council to be quite pleasant, but their cohesion with the mayor has been, I would definitely, on the part of cohesion, I'd rate it a solid D or even an F, because, you know, I feel they could definitely try to work with the mayor more, and I feel like the partisan divide between the council and the mayor has made for a really rotten environment. So, you know.
So what's your grade?
I'd probably rate them a C or D.
All right.
I'll give a C, and I'll tell my reasons why. One, council people are supposed to be representative of their district. They're not supposed to have personal agendas and things that they want to do. You're supposed to represent the people in your district. The platform that everyone ran on, sometimes people aren't standing on. Again, affordable housing is no longer a thing. Everyone ran on that platform, though. And we ain't seen anything about affordable housing. Again, they did try to start a council of people that come and continue to do the talking, but I'm tired of those meetings. I'm tired of just meeting to talk with no action plan afterwards. We can't have an egotistical president as a city council leader. There's no way that we are having hearings and the public and the mayor himself are being disrespected in public view. Everyone should have a voice, even our mayor, you know. So to be disrespectful on camera in front of people and tell people what they should and shouldn't be able to do, to me is just egotistical. Right, just keeping it real 100. I like him. I know him. I know a lot of others that sit on the council. But the objective is to work in cohesion. We have to learn to work together. No matter what you may want or he may want or he may want, if we're charged with making something better for our community, we have to put our egos to the side and make our community better, right? So it's coming in, having collaboration, and making sacrifices. He may want some things. So this time he may have to give up what he wants so we can get the better for the greater good. But we all got to learn to sacrifice, right? It shouldn't be him always sacrificing or him always making the sacrifices. And I just feel like people need to learn also how to be heard, right? If you have something to say it. I think sometimes council people have more to say when those meetings are going on, and sometimes they'll just shut up and say nothing instead of really being vocal at that moment in time. What best place to say the things where you really feel in public record, right?
Right.
And people really know what you stand for, and people don't have to second guess or think that you were okay with what was going on because you just sat there silently. But I would give them a C. I would give them a C because there are council people who are trying to work. Are the town halls happening like you said? No. Everybody ran on that campaign as well. That they would have more town halls and they would be more transparent. Transparency is a false thing when it comes to the city council because everyone has their own agendas. So you can't be transparent when you're truly not working with everyone and being honest amongst one another. And they don't get along. You get along in public eye, cool. Behind closed doors, a lot of these people don't like each other. Right, that's just the reality of it. So I just think we need to get more people to the table that are willing, no matter what their backgrounds are, whatever their party is. The greater good is about our city. Is our city growing? Is our city better? So I would have to give them a grade of a C right now because there are some who are trying, but there are some I feel like are just totally against everything the mayor's trying to do, totally against everything that's trying to, his vision for our city is his vision as mayor. You either can support it or vote against it, but you shouldn't make it personable, right?
Yeah.
So now we want to real quickly go over our report card for the county side of government.
Ooh, county council.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to start
Is
with
this
the
county council or county executive?
Oh,
Or should
both.
we do a report card about maybe the whole thing itself?
No. I mean, if you want to group them together and say something at the end of it, yes. But I want to break it down first.
Okay.
Why? Because a lot of times, at one point, the legislative part of the county wanted to get rid of the executive form.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
to get those two to actually work together is mixing oil and water. So with that in mind, I want to start with the county council part, and I'll start with myself. This is where I actually spent a lot of time at the county council, and we're interviewing actually the council president, John Cannon, within the next few weeks. Again, I don't see I'm seeing more town halls happening now, but surprise, surprise, it's also election season. I've seen a lot of bickering going back and forth between the executive's office and the county council. One thing I want to say about the council is they're there to legislate. They're there to introduce laws. They're in there to represent the people, and I'm not seeing that a lot. I'm not now. You may see that out of maybe one or two of them in there. I know James Wynn has been very active on the west side and in his district, and I'm pretty sure he's at some of the other ones because he is at large. And I was just gotten word that I know that John Cannon, he does go to a lot of the events. There was just a dinner or a steak dinner on the west side, and him and his wife was there, and that's great to be there for that. And I know some of the others may go to the fire halls, but as far as working as the legislative part of form of government, I don't see much. I still see DAF tanks that haven't been addressed. That's been going on since the last group was in there. I'm seeing a lot of finger pointing and say, well, the executive didn't do this, well, the executive didn't do that. So I really can't give them a good grade. I'm not going to give them a bad grade, because there are, as Jermichael said earlier about the city council, there are those that are trying. There really is. So I'm going to have to give them a C.
I concur. I will give them a C as well. The bickering back and forth has been an issue for a very long time. And a lot of times it's within party. That's the crazy part for me sometimes, right? It's people that are in the same party that still can't get along. But in order for our county to be better, Salisbury is the biggest city in that county, but our governments locally both have to learn how to work cohesively. Right? The objective is for us to have a better county and be one of the better counties in the state. If that's truly the goal, then we have to learn how to work together and make sound decisions for our county and the cities that are in our county together, right? Nobody should be pointing fingers or trying to get rid of positions. I thought that was one of the dumbest, my opinion, one of the dumbest things in the world to say, because checks and balances is needed. And if the legislation is doing their job, there's a balance to what the county executive can do. So, I mean, if people voted her in, they wanted her there, and I think we should keep that democratic process for people to vote people in. Whether you like it or what they have going on or not, then that's something different. But
if
you
you
should
don't like
always have a
them.
democratic process.
What I will say is when I started getting involved here in Wycomico County, there was that vote against and vote for. There was the Question A issue, where they wanted to get rid of the county executive, that form of government, and they're just, from my point of view, there was just a lot of infighting, a lot of division, a lot of just the county council seeming like they wanted to just get rid of a position totally just because they don't like an individual who's serving in that position. I don't think that's productive. I don't think that's something that would ultimately lead to success if it had succeeded. Now, of course, the people voted against Question A, and it was, and we're going to continue having the county executive form of government, which I think is a good thing. But currently, it seems like there are a lot of instances where the county council is not doing its best to work with the county executive and with the members of the executive branch of our government, which I think is, I don't think it's a productive thing. I think in order to have success and to make a positive impact in our community, people have to collaborate. They have to get past personal issues and just work together for the good of the community. So I'll give them a C-.
All right, and Jermichael, what did you give
Give
him?
them a C.
You gave him a C? Okay. And
Yeah, so I'd say again, I'm not as versed in county politics as I probably should be, being a Wycomico County resident. But I'm all the way up on the other side of the shore. So we're upper portion of the shore.
College,
so yeah. So but yeah, with respect to the vote for Question A to get rid of the county executive, I thought it was just despicable. I think we should not utilize measures like doing away with a figure in government just because it may suit us at the present point. Because what's to stop them from next session regretting the decision and bringing it right back on, which we've seen to be the case in other areas where the county executive question has been raised, or similar questions which have been again raised for a specific political reason, and then they may rescind this motion once motion, but
so you giving him a C?
I suppose I would.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to tell you what grade.
No
Wow.
worries. Well, I'd probably give them a bit lower than a C,
Okay,
just
well,
because I think
okay.
it's a bit ridiculous, in my personal opinion. But
Okay. So
yeah.
you're going with a D?
Probably a D, yeah.
Term limits. We've been talking a lot about term limits. I think I've been talking about term limits for the last year and a half, but here within the last 6 months, Colin McEvers and myself have been going out and trying to get signatures, because when term limits here in Wycomico was presented to the county council, it did not get enough votes to go on the ballot. So we have to take it back to the streets and knock doors or set up tables at Third Friday or go different places, but term limits. What is term limits about around here? Well, one of the most asked questions is, what are we looking at as far as for term limits? We're looking at 8 years total, and that's it. 2 terms. People, rather in county council or the county executive, cannot make it a career in being a local politician. Now, why do we want to stop that? Well, several reasons. One, people get complacent and nothing gets done. 2, the fact that there becomes this good old boy system where people are only out to help their friends and things don't get done. And another reason is we don't want people to get wrapped up in being a career politician on us taxpayers' money. We have spoken to the county executive, and she's actually one of the big supporters. As a matter of fact, she's pushing these term limits, and that's not just for the council, but it's also for her. 15,000 names is the amount that we need for it now. How can you get involved with this? Well, you can reach out to Bridging the Gap, 238 at Gmail, and we'll find a way of getting to you. Or you could, maybe you'll see us on the 3rd Friday, or maybe you can come to one of the many different gatherings that will happen here soon. But get involved with making a difference, and term limits is how we make a difference. You don't allow people to get in there and just make it make their time in office this a career where they make money. We have to make sure that it's all about the people. Again, during our last 4 weeks in our first existence on PAT 14, we had the county executive in, and she talked a little bit about term limits.
I'm Julie Giordano, County Executive. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first question is, if you could just tell us a little bit about how the possibility of term limits passing in Wicomico County in 2026 could impact the prevalence of young folks in politics.
Yeah, I think it sort of gives people a sense that they have a chance, right? So when you have term limits out there, you know that you're going to have, I'm assuming it's 2 terms that are on the ballot from what I understood. So we're talking 8 years. And, I think that when people see that there is an end, I think it kind of does 2 things. One, it gives people hope and opportunity that they would have an opportunity to run, that you're not going to have this career politician sitting in a role. But the other part about it is that it really puts pressure on the politician, right? So they have 8 years to, at the very most, to accomplish what they want to accomplish. So I think that there's an accountability factor there where it's not like, okay, well, in the next term I'll do that, in the next term I'll do this, and I'll accomplish this. So you have, at the max 8 years to really put forth, the best thing that you want to do for the county. So I think it's good. I think it's accountability on the politician part, but then I think also it gives people hope that there is a chance for, them to run and people, other people to get involved.
Certainly, yeah, and I definitely like the idea of putting some pressure on them, like a limited time, so it's like they don't have, I'm going to be here 40 years. It doesn't matter what I do this year or that year. It just gives them that time to make a plan. So actually, when we were doing this petitioning, we ran into some local people in the area, in Wicomico, Salisbury, and one of the critiques we faced from a local Democrat regarding term limits was that it could open the door for powerful interest groups or wealthy people to buy their way into office. So what would you say your response is to that kind of criticism?
I think that could happen now. I think that we have people now that sort of fit that mold, right? So right now, the way that I feel that, like, for example, the council is structured is it's very difficult. We have Councilman James Wynn, who is on the younger side, and he is a business owner. And it makes it really difficult sometimes for him, for daytime meetings and things that happen in the daytime. So the way that the meeting or the way that the council, for example, is set up now is that it's really for that retired business owner or that person who owns their own business. I can't imagine, being a teacher or being somebody who is just starting their career and also saying, oh, by the way, I have to leave for a council meeting, or I have to do this, or I have to do that, and go here and go there. So it's really, right now, the job almost has tailored itself around a specific group. And so you have to have a good sense of security. Plus, it doesn't pay very much. So, you're not going to, get rich by becoming a councilman, which is a good thing. We don't want that to happen either. But I do think the way that it's structured sort of limits, people. I don't necessarily know if term limits are going to mean that you're going to have special interest groups. Like, I don't necessarily see that, because I feel like you could have that now. And to me, I think it's more dangerous on the other side, because if you have somebody in a special interest group and they have an unlimited amount of time that they can run, the more and more damage or the more and more that they can do, because there's not, a set time. Okay, well, we only have to deal with that person for 8 years. So I think that argument sort of is, I don't really see that argument at all. I kind of see it on the other way, where when you have somebody who can continuously be there, I think that causes more of a concern than anything else.
Definitely, and one of the things that I responded to when that what got brought up is, well, if someone is an incumbent, they obviously have access to a lot more connections and people that might be representing these interest groups than would someone that's a newcomer that doesn't necessarily have many connections and things like that.
I 100% agree, but you have to remember too, at some point in time, and I'm not defending anybody else, but at some point in time, everybody was a newcomer, right? At some point in time. Mine was just this last term. So do I have more connections now that I'm the county executive? Absolutely, but that just happens with the role. But I worked so hard to make those connections. I was at everything, door knocking, meeting people, doing the things that I should have been doing to earn the respect of the people in the community. And I would say just recently have I really earned the trust of the business community. That was a really difficult group for me to try to penetrate and say, hey, like, I want you to trust me, and I want you, and it was hard for them, Yeah. You had John Pissota, who was in there prior to, so even though he wasn't elected, he was still the incumbent. Sure. And they had that trust in him because he was already doing the job, So I had to earn that trust. And I think just until now, I've put out my third budget now. They see that I'm, fiscally responsible. They see that we're in a great place with the county. We're making good progress. And it took that. So they are very much an action group. You have to do those things. But everybody starts off that way. You know what I mean? So I do feel like it's an even playing field, but that's the power of incumbency. And that's another reason for term limits, because you only have that incumbency one time. You know what I mean? And then if you do get reelected, then your time is up. And then I think that there would be a smoother transition. You know that you're not going to be running again for that position. So you don't have that sense that, I'm going to keep going and I'm not going to do the things that I should do. And I think term limits also helps you make those tough decisions, because people will not make decisions because they want to get reelected, right? And so they don't do that. When you are in your last term, you're like, you know what, I'm going to make these tough decisions and I'm going to do what I have to do because, I'm not running again, or, that I'm termed out. So
Exactly. No, definitely.
Okay. One of the last things I want to cover in this elephant in the room is what we've been doing on our Bridging the Gap. We've been starting a new segment called Chopping It Up. And our first segment was with Colin McEvers, myself, Danny McBride, and Jermichael Mitchell. And there's a lot of people that didn't like the report card that we gave to the city of Salisbury's council. We gave a grade to the city's mayor, we gave a grade to the county council, and one for the county executive. Some people didn't like the grade, and that's it. That's one thing about Bridging the Gap. We're not here to make the people that are elected feel good, and unless they've done good things. Now, again, a grade is just based upon 4 people at a time on a panel going over something and giving their own personal feeling. That doesn't mean that you're not doing a great job. And just because I give someone a grade doesn't mean that they don't deserve one better. It's just my feeling on it. So we did do one of those, and we are actually getting ready for our next Chopping It Up. And our next Chopping It Up, we're going to have Colin, of course, my co-host Colin, going to be there, and Jermichael will be returning. But I also want to try to get Miss Holly Worthington in the studio. We've been talking here lately. She's she's a local realtor here, and she's very involved. She's an awesome young lady. I've known her for a while here, and I want to get her on there because we want to talk some more about silly politics. Well, sometimes it is silly. City politics.
Hello. Oh, okay. My name is Michael Langford. I live at 1026 Arthur Court within the city. I'm here to share comments for Miss Holly Worthington of 212 South Claremont Drive, who isn't able to be here tonight, but has asked me to speak as in solidarity with her out of concern as fellow resident of the city. So she's also informed me that she's emailed this to council and the mayor's office. Dear Mayor and Council, the current state of affairs in downtown Salisbury reflects a growing concern among residents and stakeholders about rapid development, increased congestion, overcrowding, and a critical shortage of parking. These issues have become more pronounced as large-scale projects continue to move forward without sufficient infrastructure or long-term planning in place. According to recent parking analysis, the Central Business District is already experiencing a projected shortfall of 702 parking spaces, a number that raises serious questions about the city's approach to urban growth and accessibility. Despite these clear warning signs, the city has made questionable financial decisions, such as selling off valuable public land at a fraction of its worth. A prime example is the sale of the Marina Landing site, 2.49 acres, which the city purchased in 1988 for $1.4 million and then sold to One Fitzwater Street LLC for just $1, along with a deal granting exclusive use to the adjacent public parking lot. This not only depletes public assets, but exacerbates the existing parking crisis and contributes to congestion. We heard comments